the local crisis center, and you raised $161,000 for the center. Can you tell us a little bit about that campaign? And
certainly, that was called Crisis Overnight, and that was about a year ago, and it was something that just happened to work because I think all the pieces fell in the right place. And the executive director of that of the crisis center came to me and said that they were out of funding. They were waiting on money from the state that had been owed. And in the past, they had reached out to local media to come and stay the night there and talk about the experience. But because of the short time frame, 3 weeks, they needed $150,000 or the center was going to close. And so I stayed the night and donated my social networks. And it was the first time I had ever made an ask of anyone to donate or do anything. And not only did people from my networks just step up and reach out and donate, the community itself thought it was so cool we were using social media. They didn't even necessarily join in on Twitter or Facebook. They just sent in donations and wanted to just be part of something bigger. So it was just one of those impromptu campaigns that happened but can't necessarily be recreated.
What specifically did the strategy look like when it was laid out?
Well, because it was so fast, it was one, clear, concise messaging. So we raise the money, they stay open, we don't, they close. We partnered with a local design web creative consultancy, and we did a very bare bones minimum website. So black and white text, no imagery, because we had to convey this was, a crisis. So I also think the naming Crisis Overnight was very clear and concise. And then we recognized donors on the site. So we had the deadline up there, the quick messaging, and then recognize donors. And you could donate easily from the site. And then didn't just donate Twitter and Facebook, but donated my blog, which is typically just about PR and social media, and asked the Crisis Center, what are really all of the unsexy facts that you wish you could get out there about domestic violence, economic issues, and we used that as a housing place to get all those messages out, and people responded to them. And then we used video as well, and were able to interview members of the crisis center and the community members who came out. And then we couldn't do this on camera, but interviewed residents of the crisis center about what brought them there and why that they were there.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that. That's great. So assuming, I'm sure it differs, but you're sitting down with a new client and they're looking to get into the new media space. What does that look like? What are some of the things that you tell them to employ right off the bat that are important?
Well, it depends what they want to do, because there isn't one cut and dry approach. So, for example, a potential client that I'm going to be meeting with today is very savvy into social media, but they want to know, we're going to launch a new site. How do we generate awareness for this? How do we generate eyeballs getting to the site? And we'll use obviously an approach of SEO, PR, and that includes traditional and new media. But for clients who come to me and they say, I would just want to become part of, I want to join a social network, I want to do something, the first thing I ask is why, and what are you trying to accomplish? So before I ever say, well, why don't you jump on Twitter, get a Twitter ID, we figure out what exactly are you trying to accomplish? What are you already doing in traditional PR? How can this complement what you're doing? And then we'll just do a quick and dirty online analysis of where their target audience is, or the people they're trying to reach. I have found, for example, that businesses who are new to the space don't necessarily do as well on Facebook, because people like a brand or like something on Facebook that they feel a connection to. So it's not like a Rockmelt, for example, a new social search engine. I think I've been tracking, they have about 15,000 likes in about a week, which is great, but people are already connected to search engine and social, so it's meeting a need. But for a new brand that people aren't connected to, it's difficult to get those likes because there isn't a reason necessarily. But they might find that they connect with them on Twitter better because the company can jump in on a conversation. So it just varies.
Sure. So a company that is having trouble creating a fan base or getting the word out there, what do you suggest?
Well, number one, call me. That's my plug. But the easiest thing you can do is really just ask people what they want. If you're having trouble getting buy-in or people kind of joining in, doing something for you, do something for them and ask, what do you want from us here? And then give them something. I mean, that's the easiest, most simple advice I can offer. And
what do you personally think is next in the social media space? What do you think we'll be seeing?
I would like to see more personalization, not just on social sites, but the equipment, the technology that we're using. We've got our iPhones. I would love to find a way to personalize the outside of that, to promote what we're doing. Obviously, location-based is big. I think we're going to see more integration of real-time social. So, I mean, on Google, they just announced Google Instant Visualization today. So when I'm searching, I can see a site before I get to it, but then I can go down and see in my social circle what people are talking about. And I'm not a futurist. I don't necessarily know. What I'm really good at is finding something that exists and finding a way to apply it to PR practices.
Sure, absolutely. So going with that, you have to stay ahead of the game. What are your top 5, websites, tools, apps that you couldn't live without?
Top 5 sites or apps I couldn't live without. Well, so Twitter and Facebook, I think those are a gimme. And then my Google Reader, because that's where I aggregate a lot of my news. And this is somewhat of a plug for myself, but my company, our team, we launched something called the Sevens Network for new PR pros and PR grads, where we really talk about the state of the industry, but it's almost like an instant pulse check on what the next generation is studying and learning and what they're experiencing. So I can't live without that. That is my daily pulse. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. And my 5th, oh my God, I don't know. We'll just, we'll say Mashable.
Okay, great. Well, Sarah, you're obviously really passionate about what you do, and it was great meeting you. I appreciate your time.
Nice meeting you too.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.